So high-end performance has a G37. So that's technically Infiniti, right? SEMA Show Gran Turismo winner of 2008. Not bad, not bad. This one's sitting at 465 horsepower and 344 foot-pounds of torque. Not bad, not bad. Not bad. I'm pretty sure that's a V6 pumping out on that. It's got a little roll. Oh, I can see the roll cage in there. See, that's always nice. Let's see. So the next one is Infiniti. So this is a regular Infiniti. So this is a concept coupe concept. So this was a concept back then, apparently. So this wasn't the actual vehicle that was sold to the public. But this one's sitting at with 320 horsepower, supposedly at 262 foot-pounds of torque. So I guess those are like guesstimations. Something like this vehicle actually shows that it's a 3,498. So it's a 3.5 liter V6 at 288 horsepower and 259 foot-pounds of torque. That's not bad for a 6. Especially at 2006, which there's an example I was talking about, like for engines of a year. So that one Mustang's a 2007, right? And this Infiniti's a 2006. So the Mustang's with a 5.0, okay? It's a 5.0, and it's only at 200 something horsepower. I mean, here's a 3.5 at 200 something horsepower. But at the same time, I can't take anything away from a 6-cylinder. There are certain 6-cylinders that are just fantastic. Now, this here is a Scion. What a car. It's amazing how this particular vehicle is shared with three companies. So you got Toyota, Scion, and Subaru all have this vehicle. And the only thing that's different is the logo badging all the way around it and the name of the vehicle. Like in this particular case, as a Scion, it's called the FR-S. So these are sitting at 192 horsepower with 146 foot-pounds of torque. See, that power is not crazy. I think the problem with this, because I think I've heard people talk about this vehicle, they think it was underpowered for that particular body, like the weight that it is, like the power to weight ratio wasn't really appropriate. Which I believe the new one coming out, the brand new one coming out, has more power. So now I think it's a more appropriate vehicle. Like I think it's a little more in the right direction. Because I'm one of those people, like I wouldn't want to say that a vehicle should have crazy fucking horsepower. Like I'm not expecting this car to have 400, 500 horsepower and a little thing. I mean, in all retrospect, from the factory, in a nice, sense of having the performance just be a nice balance. Like this being over 200 is where I think it should be. That way it could propel and handle better with the vehicle's weight and everything like that. All right, let's see what else we got in premium. The Tesla Motors. Wow, I forgot that there's a Tesla in the fucking game, dude. Check that thing out, man. The Tesla Roadster 2007 with the Arctic White. I believe these were mostly sitting with a red paint. I think he had a red paint going on. And then this, as it stands, it's 277 horsepower, 273 foot-pounds of torque. And that's all electric motor on demand. See, that's the one thing that I have to acknowledge. I cannot say anything mean realistically. I mean, an electric motor is, and the way they've been building them, the way they've been showing them off, they are a pretty superior type of technology we have created. I mean, you're talking about, okay, so for example, all those other vehicles are saying the horsepower and the torque, okay? It's not at the very beginning of the vehicle's power, like you romp on the gas, you only got so much power, and then it reaches the power. It takes time. It takes time. With something like an electric motor, we're looking at 277 horsepower with 273 foot-pounds of torque on demand. You're talking about the second that pedal is all the way down, okay? That pedal's all the way to the ground. In an instant, that's the amount of power you got, period. I mean, that's why something like the, what was it called? The Plaid? Tesla Plaid or whatever. That's why that one is so fast. Like, people were like, oh man, that's bullshit. How could it be that fast? Like, there's certain individuals like, that's bullshit, man. What? But it's not bullshit. You're talking about the amount of torque those electric motors are dishing out immediately. Okay, and luckily the vehicle is 4-wheel drive, so you have 4 wheels to be able to try to support that kind of power launch. You know, that's what electric motors are all about. They're on demand. It's not like you kind of go and then you feel the power going a little bit more, and then it pins you to back a little bit more like a gas powered engine. And the same goes with the way the transmissions are on these, like a regular gas-powered vehicle. It's like, no. I mean, with this, it's, oh, shit. And then you're just pinned to your seat. So, there's that. But, here's one little side note. I remember going off to my little, I get curious. And I wanna investigate a few things here and there just to educate myself. And as much as I understand what these individuals are trying to do with the electric motor vehicles, electric vehicles, trying to get gas-powered vehicles off the road or whatever, a lot of them, like, unfortunately out in the West, haven't done the necessary things to figure things out. I mean, as it stands, I think it's still that way. The carbon footprint of just creating an electric powered vehicle, okay, like, and we're talking about just a battery, okay, the carbon footprint that battery has on the world is worse than a few hundred cars running on the road in a couple of years. Like, just the production of the battery from where the materials are, where it gets refined, up to where it gets built together and all that stretch of being able to make that battery is more harmful to the world. Like, so people right now, they're just stuck on the car. Here's the car already built. Yes, an electric car is better than a gas for the environment. Yes. Not going to dispute that. You are correct. But in the creation of the two vehicles, the fucking electric car is doing harm right there. That's where an electric car does harm. So the life of a regular vehicle to be created is not doing that much harm. But once it's created and it's out on the road, that's where it produces some harm to the environment. Yes, I agree. The exhaust is not that good. Yeah, okay. And then the fossil fuels and whatnot. Okay. But the creating of an electric vehicle is where that is damaging to the world. Like, after the vehicles has been created, once it's out on the road, yes, that it's not doing harm. It's not really doing much harm, yeah. But it did a lot of harm to get there. That's the unfortunate. And right now I've seen, who was it? There's one company making batteries that eventually are going to go into Tesla. I can't remember if it was Philips or something like that. But apparently the battery's not only easier to make, it can store more power, etc. And I believe that's a battery that's less harm. So that's the thing. It's still early. I can't sit here and say that creating an electric car is always going to be damaging. No. I'm definitely not saying that. I know with advancements and more trial and errors, Eventually, we're going to make batteries that do not make any harm. You know what I mean? We'll get there eventually. I don't know when. I don't know how long, but it's getting there. Like, I'm pretty sure some of the batteries right now being produced have less harmful effects to the world in creating it than some of the first ones. So there's that. And that's the thing a lot of people need to keep aware of. That's that balance right there. Okay, that's the balance. Creating the electric car is harmful. After it's created, it's not. When it comes to a regular automobile, creating it is not that harmful. After it's created and then it's being used, then there's the harm right there. So that's how, you know, and like I said, I'm not against either one. I do see the pros and cons out of everything. But I'll go ahead and digress. Buick. Yes, Buick. So this one here is from the SEMA show, Gran Turismo Award. The Buick Special. If I'm not mistaken, see, I'm not very versed in a lot of the Buick vehicles, even though I'm a GM guy. If I'm not mistaken, I believe this vehicle was called a Special, I think. But I'm not 100% sure, so don't hold me to that. Horsepower on this thing. 560 horsepower, 568 foot-pounds of torque. Not bad. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Yeah. Wow, that weight's not bad. 1,364 kilograms. That's not bad. So that's a pretty interesting car. That paint job. That's the only thing I think I'm against it, because I'm not wild about green. There's very specific greens I've come across that are very beautiful that I can't say anything bad about. This one, not really one of those. So now this. If my buddy Brad is watching, obviously, this is the vehicle he loves and highly sought after. Oh my God, there's so many people that would want this, and the price range on these things, there's some that are reasonable, and I think the reasonable ones are, I'm gonna say it like this, some of the reasonably priced Grand Nationals / GNX, because you got the Grand National and then you have the GNX. GNX was the last one made to be at an even higher performance than the regular Grand National. Because if I'm not mistaken, it was Buick / GM got with McLaren, and it combined their efforts to then create the GNX, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, it's nice, man. At that time, 1987, this is pumping out 267 horsepower with 349 foot-pounds of torque. Those numbers, to me, I think are fibbing. I think they're fibbing. This car would launch so hard and would whoop some ass. It was, unfortunately, beating my love, the Corvette. At the time, it was whooping the Corvette's ass, and it was a V6 with a turbo. And it's a big body car. It's not like it's super light. I mean, it's not ridiculously heavy, but it's not super light either. Like, compared to the Corvette, I don't know what was the weight difference there. But this thing was beating the Corvette at the time. And I was like, wow, that's impressive. I just can't be mad. I can't be mad. You know, I can't be mad at good competition. And then the stylings alone, I always loved the body style of this car. I know my buddy Brad was asking me once about how, like, there's certain signal lights that are just yellow. Like, can you have them clear? I told him you could. I don't know. That's definitely a dream car for him. Like, he would love to have this. He would really love to have this. The other dream car, technically, is the 1966 Chevy Impala. 4-door, black, and if anybody knows where I'm getting to, it's from the show Supernatural. Oh yeah, his mom loves that show. He does too. I do too. But I don't have the love like they do. Like, they definitely have a love for it. Let's see here. Now, the next company is Cadillac. I forgot what they put in here. So I got two of them. I don't know why. But I got the Cadillac Scion Concept. Oof, you can tell the graphics are kind of shitty, right? See, that's the difference between the standard cars and a premium car. Like this, you can tell it's a little shitty, but it's still a cool looking car. I mean, when this concept came out, I'm like, dude, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now the thing is, now that I look at it a little bit more, so this is a mid-engine rear-wheel drive. Okay, check this one out. Hear me out on this. I believe this concept car is what birthed the company to get to the point of the now current mid-engine rear-wheel drive Corvette. So technically, Cadillac could, like they do, piggyback off of Chevrolet and still create this thing. This thing still can be made. I would tweak it. Obviously, the styling is not 100% that bad. It's at its time Cadillac styling, so you could tweak it, have it similar, but a little bit better. But this is definitely a possibility because obviously this was a concept car and it didn't come out. But if you look at it, that is a Cadillac clothing over what the new Corvette is now. That's technically what this is. Now that I'm putting forth my thoughts into it, here's it. It's 2002. That's how far back these people were sitting down on the drawing boards and probably dealing with shit with the Corvette. Like, yeah, they made those other ones, and obviously the other ones were great for the Corvette. But obviously the evolutionary fact was they pushed a front-engine rear-wheel drive car to its limits. And natural evolution was to go to the mid-engine rear-wheel drive setup. And this is that. This is that, though. Dude, that got me fucking A. That got me, wow. I just now thought of that, huh? Fucking A. That's, it's one of those things. I totally forgot about this car. I really did. Which sucks because it is a pretty cool concept. This is sitting at 726 horsepower with 436 foot-pounds of torque. See, and then that right there is a realistic power. That's the thing. That's realistic. With what they have right now on the market at GM, they can easily bring out this car. Now, granted, I'm knowing them because that's how they are. The Cadillac is not going to sit there to outperform the Corvette. That's not going to happen. It'll be close, but it won't be there to really outperform. But the difference is that you'll have your Corvette. Nice interiors, decent, cool, there you go. But then obviously with the Cadillac version of the car, if you will, which would be technically this, I would keep the name Cadillac Scion. I think that would be pretty cool. This is where you really push the luxury, because that's what Cadillac really is luxury. I would say this would be the full-on luxury with some performance. So, like I said, it won't be crazy like the Corvette. It'll be like a little underpowered and stuff like that. But it would be very nice to see this thing come out, to be honest with you. I think it'd be cool. I see people wanting one. I would definitely see people wanting one of these if that was a thing that came out. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I'm looking at this because it sparks ideas in my head. Oh, look at that. There's two of them. Callaway Corvette. So Callaway. This is a 2003 C12. So they call it the C12. But this is technically a C5 Corvette, changed a little bit on the body, and obviously gave it a little bit more horsepower. And bam, you got Callaway, which to me I think looks pretty cool. Yellow's not that bad, but yeah, man, that's pretty cool, man. Callaway. So at this point in time, this one was at 420 horsepower with 372 foot-pounds of torque. I feel like that's low numbers. But then again, in 2003, the regular Corvette was what, 380 something? No, bullshit. At that time, I think it was only like 320 something. So yeah, I mean, this is technically an upgrade in performance. So that's what the company was known for. Let me see. Chaparral. Oh, this is that wicked race car that I heard about. This particular vehicle, when it came out and was driven on a track, was ridiculously dominant. I mean, it was whooping some ass. Because, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong on this. I mean, even though there is probably info down here, I keep forgetting about that. But I want to see what my memory's got. So in the back here, we can see it's got some fans. That's to help propel the vehicle. So you had the regular vehicle engine to propel the vehicle's wheels. Then you had the fans there, but then you had fans underneath the car. Okay, and those fans' job were to suck the vehicle down to the pavement. That way the handling on this thing was insane. It can corner like a sumbitch. So yeah, that, let's just say I don't know how long it took them, but yeah, all the officials and everything eventually banned this car. This car was banned. It could not be used on official races and stuff like that. So it was unfortunate. But it was a hell of a design. It was a hell of an idea. Like the horsepower on this thing is 663 horsepower. That's a pretty good number at 1970. Then you got 533 fucking foot-pounds of torque. That's, I mean, to think about that much power, and then you have fans sucking the vehicle down. I mean, the type of G's that thing was probably producing, taking turns. I mean, I wouldn't mind double checking like how much G's. Now, this is a vehicle they had before that, which is 1967. It's called the 2D race car. So mid-engine rear-wheel drive. This was at 407 horsepower with 368 foot-pounds of torque. Still very impressive numbers for a vehicle of that age. That styling was definitely like, the front has like, when we were looking at that Ford from 1967, it's got that styling in there. It was interesting how certain companies shared certain styling cues. You know what I mean? Like there was that one Ford, and it kind of looked like the Ferrari. Yeah, this one here, the front end kind of looks the same. Hey, but it was one of those things. If something worked, something worked. So let's get into Infiniti on the standard. First one is the 1990 G20 from Infiniti. This particular car, I don't believe I came across this car. This one I have, the 2003 G35 Coupe. This one was like, if I'm not mistaken, this one is technically your luxury version of what the Nissan 350Z is. Because this car is on the same chassis, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I think it was about the same thing. Horsepower, 269 horsepower with 259 foot-pounds of torque. It's not crazy numbers. Oh yeah, I didn't get the horsepower of the little guy. What was the little guy at? 144 horsepower with 133 foot-pounds of torque. That sounded about right for a little four-banger. So what do we got here? We have the Infiniti G35 sedan, 2005. Okay. All right, so we got max horsepower at 250 and torque at 252. A decent amount of power. And what do we have here? Here's the concept car. The concept of what they call the FX45. I don't remember if that is the name that they ended up ultimately going after or using. But I remember when this thing came out, and I was like, man, what a thing. Thick! It was a thick SUV. And then the wheels, I thought there was some big fucking wheels. Like, they didn't play around. They put some big wheels in that bad boy. This one at 330 horsepower with 323 foot-pounds of torque. Not bad. It's a little basic SUV. Or not SUV. Cross utility vehicle. CUV. This is one of those ones where it was around this time where things were leaning towards people wanting less cars, like a sedan, and more cross utility vehicles. It was some kind of thing, but that's still the market right now. Jay Leno, the tank car. I remember seeing this on his show, and the gentleman that made it, which that gentleman then made some other crazy fucking things. This is just nuts. This is nuts. So this thing is a 29,333 cc engine. Wow. I actually don't remember the displacement. Wow. That's a fucking high amount of displacement. So the power supposedly in this bad boy is at 860. And then the torque is at 1,532 foot-pounds of torque. Jesus Christ. But then it's 3,500 kilograms. Really? Damn, this thing must be just pure steel. Fuck, that's a heavy bastard. I didn't think it was that heavy. That fucking thing's insane. Fucking Jay Leno. Let's see what we got. Lexus. That Lexus has a lot of shit. So the first one we're looking at is 1998 Lexus IS 200. This one here, if I'm not mistaken, was the 4-cylinder model, right? Yeah, this is a 4-cylinder. So a 2.0 4-cylinder at 200 horsepower, 254 foot-pounds of torque. So this was your basic model here. This, on the other hand, this was a decent car. I think at one point one of these had the inline 6 that the Supra had, but this one in particular is a 2.4, maybe 2.5 liter, 267 horsepower, 270 foot-pounds of torque. Is not bad. That was a nice looking car. I actually did like the stylings of that vehicle. This one here is a Lexus GS 300, the Vertex edition. Damn, dude, the amount of people that like this body style is amazing. But the thing is, see, if I'm not mistaken, this was a 3.0 V6 at 276 horsepower with 335 foot-pounds of torque. These, though, did later come out with a V8, which that was the sought-after vehicle. This one, on the other hand, I'm sure a decent amount of people had the V6, but what was sought after was the V8. Like this one's a 2000 GS 300, same power, same size engine and stuff. Let's see, this is the 91 model. But this one you can see is different. So as a 91, you have one bold headlight fixture and stuff like that. You didn't have a little round one. This one's same size engine, a 278 horsepower with 321 foot-pounds of torque. And in this, we have the Lexus SC430. Now, when this thing first came around, I was like, huh? What the hell are they trying to do here? I'm like, dude, look how round this thing is. Like, I do not care for this style whatsoever. This is the one Lexus that I just wasn't fond of. I don't care for this style. I'm sure there's people that do like this style. This particular vehicle is at 266 horsepower, 307 foot-pounds of torque. But at 1,730 kilograms, you're like, what the fuck is all the weight? I mean, this car is not that big and it's not that small, but it's small enough to where you look at that weight and like, where the fuck is all that weight? I mean, what the fuck? And that's funny, that one says US and this says EU. Now here's one, it's the 2001 IS300 Sport Cross that I believe every time you saw Sport Cross is because it was like a low wag. At 210 horsepower, 210 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, that's not bad. A little more torque than that other one we were looking at. And then this one is the 1998 IS200. Of course, it's a 4-cylinder. This one was this weaker or stronger than the other one? This is 152 horsepower, 143 foot-pounds of torque. I gotta admit though, for a small car, the styling of this car I did like. I thought it was a really nice style. Oh boy, now we got Panoz. Is that how you say it? Panoz. This is where you're getting into cars I've never known about. Apparently, this is an American brand. It's definitely an interesting look compared to other race cars that I've seen. But yeah, that's an interesting car. And I don't know diddly squat about it, man. All right, what we got? Pontiac. Oh my God, I forgot that Pontiac was in here. Well, this is a brand that no longer exists, unfortunately. But this little boy right here. See, now here's the thing. This one's the Pontiac GTO with a 5.7 liter, right? But they did have the GTO with a 6.0 in it. They did. I know they did. That was the big boy. That was the one you wanted. I mean, don't get me wrong, this one was good too. This one's at 341 horsepower with 354 foot-pounds of torque. So yeah, I remember I think I almost got the opportunity to get one of these at one point in time. Yeah, almost. But then something happened, just didn't happen. Oh, this thing. And this one actually says concept, but this concept, as you're looking at it, that's what came out. It literally did. I mean, this little guy here, when it came around, I was like, dude, that's an interesting look. I'm not sure if this sold well or not. I know this car definitely had a thing that happened where it also shared it with all the smaller, something about the smaller General Motors vehicles. There was a thing with the ignition where, like, you know how people have their key and then you had the key ring with a whole bunch of shit on it. Like, apparently if you had too much, like if you had a decently weighted shit, that while you're driving, the weight would turn the key. So the weight would turn the key, turn off your car, which then if you turn off your car, your brakes are not working the way they should. Your steering is not going to work the way it should. So they had a recall on that in a way. But at the same time, I understand that recall, but people have got too much shit on their fucking key ring to begin with, too. It's like, what the fuck? But this little thing, like, I like the style, but I wasn't wild about it. But there is a car that shares the chassis with this that I prefer way more than this. Like, in my preference, has a more superior look than this car, and that is called the Saturn Sky. That bad boy there, the Saturn Sky, is my preferred one of the chassis selection. Now this one, as a concept, they said it's 231 horsepower with 218 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know if that was the same numbers that came out with the actual one that came out, but so this is the closest thing you'll get to a Chevy Cavalier. Because the Pontiac Sunfire was the same thing. But this one here is the GXP concept. So I'm wondering what they mean by that. Because, I mean, by looking at it, that's essentially what the car looked like as a regular Sunfire. I think the spoiler was kind of the same, maybe a little different. They had options. But for this being a GXP, I don't understand what they mean by that. I never did look into this car, so I don't know what was this supposedly like a turbo or something. Which, if it was supposed to be a turbo, but here it's sitting at 174 horsepower and 189 foot-pounds of torque. That can't be a turbo. That can't be a turbo. They fucked up. Let's just say that they fucked up. Oh, this thing. Oh my God, this thing. So, the Pontiac Vibe. There was just a video not that long ago by Doug DeMuro. Pull it up, check it out. The Pontiac Vibe. So, Pontiac and Toyota had a thing together to make this vehicle. So the only thing that's different is the badges, okay? From the inside and out as badges, that's the only thing. So the other one is called the Toyota Matrix. Same fucking car. So yeah, give that video a look. Doug DeMuro, Pontiac Vibe. That video, he goes into detail on it real quick. And that way you guys can learn a little bit more on that if you want. But yeah, this car here, that was interesting. I remember I saw that. When I first seen this car come out, I was like, oh, that's an interesting car. You know, a little wagonish type thing. And then later on, I came across the Toyota one. But I thought it was a Pontiac at first. You know, I walked up to it. I was like, wait a minute. This got a Toyota logo on it. I was like, I just saw not that long ago Pontiac or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then sure enough, that's what it is that it's the same fucking car. I'm sure it's the same horsepower. It's at 174 horsepower with 126 foot-pounds of torque. I don't know if Doug stated the one he was reviewing had that kind of numbers. So I'm wondering if that's the same. But yeah, go check that out. And then they got some old school. Oh, they actually got an old school Pontiac. What? Check it out. Yeah. That's a big boy. See, now, this 1964 Tempest Le Mans GTO, okay? I don't hate it, but it's not my cup of tea because obviously the body style right after this is the one people know more about and has a higher popularity on looks. Like, I understand. I think it looks fucking beautiful. Like, this one's not bad. It's just, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I'm weird about that. I just don't have the right vibe for this car. Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. The other GTO after this is just the better looks. This one here, though, decent engine at 316 horsepower with 415 foot-pounds of torque. It's interesting. Like, we were just talking about that one Lexus, that small little car, but it's like over 1,700 kilograms. And here's this big behemoth right here, right? That's a big car, but it's only 1,420 kilograms. Like, it's amazing how, like, I know some of it has to do with the safety equipment and stuff like that. There's so much safety equipment that's been added to vehicles, so it does add weight. Scion. Oh boy, here we go. The little off-brand of Toyota. Can't believe this thing. Look at this. This is the XB. A fucking box on fucking wheels, for crying out loud. 104 horsepower at 101 foot-pounds of torque. But considering it's only 1,070 kilograms, I guess that's just enough to move it around and shit. And then the other one, I've only seen so many people with this car. The XB, definitely a decent amount out there. This one, I've only seen it maybe twice, kind of, 3 times. There is another Scion that I definitely seen the most of. That's a car that they had. I forgot the name of that one. But this one has like the same motor as the other one, I think, right? Same horsepower and shit. It's alright.